How you doing, everyone? Welcome to this video, and today we're going to talk about my DJI Ronin RSC2, and it's a very old gimbal, but I want to show you how I built this gimbal up to be something modern, fresh and new. So this rig has been doing amazingly well on Instagram, and a lot of people are asking me how I built it. So I'm going to go through the build video with you today and tell you why I built it as well. But before we get into that, I just want to speak about the expansion pack rig that we have here as well. Now, when we first bought this out, the expansion pack rig, and we made the STL available to download, we said to you to go ahead and make modifications to the expansion pack to how you like it. Those modifications we meant for things like mounting points and stuff like that, not structural stuff. So I just want to be clear about what you should and what you shouldn't do regarding the expansion pack. So first of all, when it comes to mounting the camera, a lot of people ask me why couldn't we make the screw shorter in the middle here, and I'm pretty sure I covered it in the last video, but the reason why we use a longer screw is because structurally this has to be sound, okay? We've got a big platform which the FX3 sits on. The long screw with the thick plastic right up the middle will make this super rigid, like I'm talking extremely rigid. So when you've got your battery on and other bits and pieces, monitor, whatever, it can handle a lot of weight. If you make that thinner to use a small screw, then the plastic there isn't dense enough. It's not going to be dense, and I don't want this to snap on anybody, okay? So please, we designed this with structural integrity in mind. Don't scrimp on the infill as well, the amount of filament that you use. We have done a slight adjustment, so we recommend between 25 and 30% infill, and I still recommend a wall count of between 4 and 5. Again, this is going to make it structurally super solid. And thirdly, if you're going to use a handle, please use the Rosette on this side, because that's exactly what it was designed for structure, for strength, and just to handle a lot of weight here. Do not use these two little mount points on the side here. Although we showed that the helicoil inserts are extremely strong, they're not designed for leverage on this side. This side is mainly for accessories like the screen guards or cable tidies and stuff like that, not for handles, okay? So if you know anyone that's bought an expansion pack and they're printing it themselves, please let them know about what I've just said here. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's talk about the gimbal build. So initially, I made this gimbal build for a smaller gimbal, and a lot of comments ask me, can this be used on Ronins or other gimbals? And I do use a Ronin. My Ronin has been absolutely fantastic for me. I've had it for about 4 to 5 years now. I keep it in pristine condition. I clean it, service it, and keep it running absolutely tip-top condition, because honestly, it's the best gimbal that I've used. It's so good that I don't even feel I need to upgrade. You know, a lot of these new gimbals have a lot of fancy new features. The focus for me here is stability. And because I do a lot of events where I'm using the gimbal for, 8 hours a day, 9, 10, 12 hours sometimes, I need something that is going to last a test of time. So I'm running with these gimbals for many hours at a time, and usually they don't last a day. So the only thing left for me to do was to build out a rig that has the battery on, maybe a monitor and a few other bits and pieces. And looking at the handles and stuff like that, they're working fine for a lot of people, but I wanted something a bit different, something a bit compact that could house every single accessory that I use. I've even started using the DJI Action 4 on gigs as well, just to grab a few shots here and there, and sometimes just to grab some reels, and it's been absolutely amazing. So what I wanted to do is combine everything into one gimbal that not only can be a big gimbal, it can actually go into a smaller size gimbal as well, like I'm used to. Okay, so originally I made the gimbal rig for a smaller gimbal, but a lot of people asked about larger gimbals, specifically the Ronin. So that's what we're going to do, because the Ronins and larger gimbals obviously have a larger handle. So there's some crucial things that we're going to need for this rig build, and first of all, it's going to be a 38 by 38 square arca type tripod plate. And I've removed the big screw that usually comes in these, and I've put a small screw in, and this allows me to adjust the gimbal backwards and forwards easier. Then we're going to need the Smallrig 4505 V-mount plate. This plate is fantastic for building different types of rigs. Then we're going to use a L bracket, which is from AliExpress, which costs about £12, and you've probably seen this on the expansion pack rigs. It's a really nice little L bracket, very affordable. Mine does kind of lean forward a bit, but it doesn't mess up the build. And you can see I've got a mini NATO rail on here as well. Next, we're going to have the Smallrig mini cheese plate, and you can get about 2 of these for roughly £10 or so. And on here we have a cheap bracket from Amazon. This is just a metal bracket that you can use for shelving or different types of DIY, but they're very strong. The good thing is that 1/4 bolts can fit right through the middle of these runners. So you can use this L bracket to build all different types of rigs. You can mount Teradeks, monitors, all sorts of things onto big camera rigs with these brackets. And you get about 10 of them for around £10. So the first thing to do is to mount the Smallrig V-mount plate onto the L bracket. And we're just going to do that by putting it on the bottom here and just screwing in the 2 screws. You might need to get a 3/8 to 1/4 spacer so you can mount it directly in the center. Next, we're going to add on the Smallrig mini cheese plate, and this connects directly to the Smallrig 4505 V-mount plate. At the back here, you can see it has some 1/4 mounts, and this will screw right in the middle here. Once you've done that, you should end up with a square sort of box shape like this. So we're going to loosen up the back now, and then that allows us to drop down the rear V-mount plate. From here, we can slide on the gimbal. Now the 38 by 38 square arca type plate is a little bit tight to get in here sometimes, but it works perfectly, and we need to have the gimbal sitting as low as possible. Once we've done that, we can then adjust up the Smallrig plate and then just tighten it up from the rear. And that's the gimbal mounted in. This is the 3D printed holder which we've made, and this is specifically designed to hold on to a gimbal at the front. It's kind of wide, so it will hold on to most gimbals. You can see we've got some helicoils in the side here when we mount it in so we can screw it down. And that gap on the side here slides right onto the Amazon bracket and over the screws as well. So once we've just forced that in and we push it down, it's a bit tight, but that's how we want it, nice and tight. And now you can see it fits around the gimbal handle, providing stability, and it won't twist as well. So we'll just tighten this up now. And that is our main gimbal locked in. Then we need some ARRI rosettes. Now I've got 2 different ones here because these are the ones that I had, but you can go ahead and search AliExpress or anywhere else that you can find matching pairs. You can also use NATO rails here, but what we want to do is get the handles as high as possible because we want a nice center of gravity. We want the weight of the camera at the top and also the battery and everything else at the bottom. This is going to make it much easier to handle for long periods of time. So let's line up the ARRI rosette with the other side. Then we're going to put on a tripod plate because I like to go from gimbal to tripod. It requires it in a lot of events. So I just want to keep this easy for me that I don't have to take off the camera. I can just put the gimbal straight onto a tripod. And the fact that we have a cheese plate means that we can put in 2 screws. So no need to worry about the tripod plate twisting. Next, we're going to put on these slingers. Now, this is a 3D print handle which has a metal column inside. These are very strong because the main part of the handle is held by metal. We used to have these out a long time ago and we done really well with them, but we took them off because the download slowed down. But we're going to re-release these in a couple of weeks, I'd say around mid-September. It's a very nice handle. I'm thinking of putting some grip tape around this, like what you find on tennis rackets, to make this a bit more comfortable. But yeah, really love these handles. This one is an old prototype, so it's a bit rough, but it will do the job for this rig. And there we have the slingers and the main part of the body built up. Now I've printed my bracket in black now and it looks really nice. We had to go through so many different designs of this bracket here. Because we're using a mishmash of parts, we had to really design it. So Simon, he modeled all of these parts here, all of the brackets and the Amazon bracket and everything else, just so we could get a nice clean fit. And we had to go through so many different designs until we got it right that could fit most gimbals. But obviously you'll have to try it and let me know. Now we're going to put on the action cam, and I've got a cheap quick release plate from Amazon. It's actually made of plastic, but it will do the job. I've just connected this to a NATO monitor mount, and this will slide right onto the NATO rail I've got on the front here. So you can put your Osmo or your Osmo Action or your Osmo Pocket on this and capture your vertical shots, as well as capturing horizontal on your main camera. On Instagram, you probably saw that I had a big battery, the Smallrig X99, but you don't have to put any battery on this. If you want it lighter, you can just put a VB50 on there, a very small V-mount battery. But if you want power all day, you can go for the X99, or you could just have no battery at all and have it really light. These things can get really heavy, so it's best to have it adaptable to how long your shoot is. Then we're going to use the Smallrig remote trigger for Sony and Canon cameras. Now because the handles are so wide apart, I couldn't reach the record button on the actual gimbal, and I use that a lot. I really need to have that record button. So having this Bluetooth controller allows me to still press record. Now to mount this, I could have mounted it on top of the handles, but instead I opted for this little bracket from Temu, this L shape, and a NATO rail clamp that just clamps onto the side of the gimbal. And then from there, I will screw down the Smallrig Bluetooth remote. And now I can just easily reach the record button with my thumb. If you're using different handles, again, you just find out which works better for you. And now we're going to put on the monitor, and the monitor could have been mounted in a variety of different ways, but I went for a NATO rail, which is going to go on the side here. Again, I want to be able to take this rig apart very quickly, depending on if I'm feeling tired or not. So let's just put this on here and then screw it down, and then we have a monitor on a magic arm. This will give us nice clearance as well. And now we'll put back on the Smallrig X99 battery. And this battery is quite heavy for this rig. It makes the rig quite bottom heavy, but again, we can run for very long periods of time with this battery because I can power my monitor, I can power the gimbal, I can power all sorts of things just from this one battery. So I like to trickle charge my Sony from the Ronin, and the Ronin obviously needs to get power, otherwise it will run out after about 5 hours of shooting. So I'm going to plug a USB-A into the back of the battery and into the Ronin. And there you can see the green light on the USB cable, which means the Ronin is getting power. And that's it, that's pretty much the rig built out. And all you need to do now is add your cables. The monitor cable I recommend is this PortKeys one, this 8K PortKeys. And this cable is absolutely amazing. It is so thin and so light that it doesn't get in the way of this kind of build. Amazing cable, and it's been holding up very well. I absolutely love the final form of this gimbal. I love having all of the power, monitoring features, the stability and everything I need just in one handheld unit. Absolutely fantastic. It's also great that without much effort I can strip it down and have a much lighter gimbal as well for more run and gun, or if my arms get fatigued by the weight. Now of course I can't guarantee that this will fit every single gimbal, but it should fit most larger gimbals like the RS3, the RSC2, the RS4. But only you will know that once you try it out. What I suggest is you actually print the 3D bracket and just see how close that gets to your handle. If it gets quite close, that means you should have enough room to adjust the Smallrig plate and make any other adjustments you need to screw everything down. I'm quite confident it will fit most gimbals, but again, I can't guarantee. So that's the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this inspires you not just to go out and buy a bunch of new gear, but to work with the gear that you've got. All of these accessories that you buy can be used for different camera builds, rigs and that kind of stuff. So it's not you just buy it once and it's specific to that item. You can do so much more with it. A big massive shout out again to my partner Simon. Simon is amazing. Thank you for remodeling this whole thing for me. As much as I do a lot for the community, you do so much as well. So thank you, Simon. And finally, just remember what I said about the FX3, FX30 expansion pack, because this is going to apply to any expansion packs we do in the future. Stability and security is #1. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Later.